Hello, everybody. Special edition of Jazz Cabbage so that we can pay tribute to our very good friend. And I don't even know what words are give her enough credit for everything that she was. But this is a tribute to Zara Abbas. And very happy to have everybody here. There's many more who are grieving and who have demonstrated their love for her. And this is a continuation of that. And we have a lot of pictures. And we have a lot of people who are close with her. And we're just going to kind of go through our connections with her and some of our stories and look at some of the pictures and videos. And I guess one thing that was, there's been the response has just been huge. It's so obvious how many lives she touched, that she touched many lives, I guess I should say, and in many different areas. They were all connected for her because that was her and all the things that she was into, and they're related. But I have some things to share, and I thought, let me see. Get started with this.
Michigan lost an incredible human being yesterday. Zahra Abbas was brilliant, compassionate, and full of love for community. Zahra lived with epilepsy, which she learned to control with the use of cannabis. This inspired her mission to educate and advocate for the access of healthcare and the use of alternative approaches. Zahra founded and became the chair of the Cannabis Caucus of the Michigan Democratic Party. She was also a DNC delegate. Zahra spoke passionately about issues that she believed in at rallies and community meetings and meetings with other political leaders across Michigan and the nation, and she gained so much incredible respect from our community. My team and I are devastated and heartbroken. We want to extend our deepest condolences to the Abbas family. Allah yarhamha. I yield.
That was pretty awesome. That's amidst, so many other recognitions. It looks like Brandy will even come back in. Q said, see if she makes it on. Go ahead, Rick. I'm sorry.
That's United States House Representative Rashida Tlaib from the Dearborn area, reading Zara's name and her memorial into the official congressional record in Washington, D.C., in front of a full session of the Congress. So that's an important moment. That's an important memorial for her to receive. Leah mentioned there were several other memorial letters that she received also from the state, from Wayne County, and from other places too. We'll talk about those later, but I just wanted to make sure that people watching that clip had a full idea of exactly what they were seeing and the impact those words were having.
Absolutely. Brandy's your stuff working yet?
It's a pretty personal question.
Well, she said sound wasn't working. I'm just trying to double check and see what's going on with that. Whiskey Tango OGS, what's going on? And this is a tribute to Zara Abbas, who great community member and so much more, who recently passed unexpectedly, and that's uncool. I remember, and by the way, we have Rick Thompson, Leah, Skyler, Colin McDougall, Jim Salame, Anton Harb, Trish Matson, Brandy Zink, all here. There might be others coming on throughout the broadcast. We'll see how that goes. We have a lot of pictures, and we'll do that. I remember meeting Rashida Tlaib. I was with Brandy and Zara, and I had Zita with me. And this is when she was first running for Congress, and we were meeting in Detroit. It was a Detroit Cannabis Caucus.
I remember that. I was there too.
Yeah.
The first time I met Rashida.
Rashida was, obviously just enamored with Zita. That's what most of the connection was about. Zara. With my dog Zita. And took a lot of pictures of her and stuff like that. And her campaign literature included like this little tree that you could go plant. And I thought that was really cool from Rashida. And just had a lot of moments like that with Zara around. That was kind of par for the course. That was a great one to kind of remember. And there's some picks that we have, we'll be able to roll on some of these other ones. But I want to give the floor. Obviously, we have a lot of people here. Colin and Leah are particularly pretty close. Touched everybody's life. But I'll throw some picks up. But please jump in and let people know, about Zara. Go ahead.
Let's start with Leah, and then we'll go to Colin. All right. Let's make sure that those two powerful voices who knew her best have a chance to speak, and then the rest of us will fill in the gaps with the stories that we know. But that's the way I think we should go.
Well, that's a good forum for these guys. Very close to her, and I'll throw some pictures up while you guys do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Colin, are you cool if I go first? Is it?
Hey, go ahead.
All right.
Well,
So
wait. I introduced Leah to.
That's what I was just gonna say. Is Colin introduced me and Zahra. So like.
So you can take it from there.
Colin, I think you should go first. Honestly, you met her first. When she first joined politics, and then I can kind of fill in her journey from there.
Okay, so I guess I first met Zara in 2017. It was during the Hash Bash weekend. I think it was at the Wyndham Garden at the Hash Bash Cup. And we had like a Michigan Normal meeting in like a I don't know exactly what it was. It was like in the corner room, and I think I met her in there. And I had heard of her because she's from Dearborn, and I was really excited to meet somebody else from Dearborn that was like involved and could come with me to like different marijuana events. And I didn't realize her story, like the full extent of it, or like who she was as like a practicing Muslim, like she was. And but from the moment I saw her, she was just like determined and ready. Always had a smile on. And I probably we went canvassing a lot that summer together. I know we went to like there's a picture of me with Zara, and yeah, she was helping us clean at Hash Bash, Shelly. That was that year, I think. And there's a picture of me and her at homecoming, and we got like a bunch of police officers to sign, Dearborn police officers to sign the petition. We went to like the Dearborn Dem Club all the time and pushed our petition there. That's how we kind of like really got to meet everybody in Dearborn. I really wasn't too involved with like Democratic politics at the time, and I think there was like a city council election that year, so we were trying to like ask all the city council members, candidates, if they would like opt in or opt out, and yeah, I think the next year is when we went to start working on Dana Nessel's campaign, and that's where we met Leah. I'll let Leah take it from here for a minute.
Thanks, Colin. Yeah, so I had no job, and I was called by a friend to go join the Dana Nessel campaign, and I didn't know much about what I got myself into. And I pulled into the Cannabis Council up in Detroit. And so first off, that parking lot in the back is terrifying to try to park in if you're not a good parker. And I was like, I'm going to get stuck here and I'm never leaving again. And then you had locks on the door, so I couldn't get in. And I was like, where am I going? Like, what is happening? And so then I get in there and I meet all these people, right? And I met Colin and Zahra that day. And looking back, like, I don't think I realized that was going to set like a path for me of meeting these friends, of meeting these people and getting like super addicted to organizing and making a change. And somehow Zahra decided to follow up with me after our endless days of Cannabis Council, and we had spent convention together running around like crazy people without shoes on, sticking Dana Nessel placards all over the place, covered in Abdul and Dana stickers. I mean, it was just a whole scene. And there was a convention in August later that year, and it was in Lansing, and she called me up and was like, hey, do you want to stay with me in the hotel in Lansing? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And I don't really ever remember there being a question after that point if me and Zahra were going to something together. From that moment forward, if it was a rally, a Zoom meeting, a party thing, a protest, a candidate forum, a phone bank training, Zahra was calling me or I was calling her, and we were dragging each other to it. She moved mountains in Michigan's politics, and a lot of that I got to stand beside her and watch her do that work. And there are doors that she opened that I don't think would have ever opened without her there. And there are things that like I learned from her just as being a best friend on endless road trips about how to look at life and how to approach people. And she really believed everything that she'd say at every rally and every meeting. And she wanted to genuinely meet every person in that room. So like thinking back this week, I realized that there's no way I would know anyone on this call right now had I not known Zahra. She introduced me to Jazz Cabbage, to the Cannabis Caucus. I met other friends through her. Recently, cannabis conventions that she would drag me to that I had no idea what I was doing at. And suddenly I was being asked to be a moderator because I had spent so much time in this space with her that this had now become one of my passions. And I am so proud of her, and I was always so proud to stand beside her. And she was just such a powerhouse, fun person. And, you know, that was my partner. We did everything together, and she was the most reliable human around. She could do 3 Zoom meetings at one time while sending 5,000 texts for Nina Turner and also doing social media posts and probably helping somebody else on the side. And that was an easy day for her. That's the kind of person that Zahra Abbas was. And I'm really thankful for this group of people to lift me and Colin and others close to her up. And I'm really thankful for everyone that has been asking, how do we keep doing her work? Because that is what she was dedicated to. And she'd kick our butt if we stopped doing it. But I will yield because I could tell stories for days on end. But that is a little snippet into how I even got to be in this space was really because of Zahra Abbas. And I am incredibly thankful for her and for her family for sharing her with us.
One thing I'd like to add about Zara is everybody knew her. Like everybody had to talk to her at least once at whatever event that they were at. In fact, I'd say like sometimes like Zahra would be she'd like it'd be her turn to do something and she'd be like distracted because she's like giggling with everybody else. We're like, come on, Zara, or she'd be the one distracting us, even though she's really the one running the show.
Our last YDM convention was that way. So Zahra never wanted to join YDM to start with. She told me, I'll be there to support you. I'll show up. And I gave her a call and was like, look, we need a secretary. And she's like, all right, let's run it. And then she re-ran. And we're trying to like take votes. And she's in the corner talking to like 3 electeds about some bill that she was working on with them. And from the podium, like, and our secretary, what is your vote?
Yeah. And we got to mention that she always had coffee, like all the time. Like that was like her thing: cannabis and coffee.
Yeah, and chocolate. Those Snicker bars.
Those are good things.
Yeah, I have a coffee cup that like she gave me, and it's like the cannabinoid wheel.
She loved
he has
those
one
ones.
too.
Yeah.
That
I like
smile,
your pictures,
though.
Jamie. She organized this bridge walk. That's the shirt I'm wearing, guys, in respect of her and Ryan's event.
Yeah.
This was the Mackinac Bridge Walk this last Labor Day.
Yep,
Her and Ryan.
Yep.
Yeah, they put their heads together, and it was so fun. We did the whole
And
bridge.
they also
guys.
worked together on the rally too. I think.
Yep, the rally. Yep.
I'm trying to load a few more pictures in here. There's a lot, so that one's staying up for probably a little bit longer, but a cool one.
That's okay. That was a busy weekend for her and I. We went up there for the Line 5 protest, where you kayak under Mackinac Bridge. She was really big into environmental stuff, and both of us believed a lot in taking that pipeline out and shutting it down. And then the next day we did the cannabis barbecue, and then we did the bridge walk, and we camped the whole weekend. It was one of our most power-packed weekends.
I have some pictures in here from that weekend too. They'll show up at some point. I don't have much organization here, but we're checking them all out.
And so I wanted to just interject a little bit from my first time I met Zara. I was working at Oma Medicine, and when she walked in, I was really, really excited to see her because she was wearing her hijab, and it was one of those visits where I knew she had no knowledge, and I was going to sit down and talk with her for a long time about cannabis. And I'm half Lebanese, so seeing somebody of like an Arabic descent really kind of made me feel good and comfortable, and I really wanted to share like cannabis stuff with her. And so we sat and talked, and she was really shy, and but then she just started coming back, and she'd have more questions. And this was probably like maybe 7 years ago. I don't even know how long ago this was. Maybe 5 years ago. I don't know. It's all kind of blending together. But to see what she did in Dearborn to start, and then move into Michigan Normal, and just all the different things that she's been doing over the years, it's like she was a true warrior for plant medicines. And I'm proud of her too. Leah was saying that, and it's just really it's shocking for me to even have to be here and even talking about this. It's just doesn't make sense.
This is a rough one. I mean, I don't want to compare losses or something, but this one is really particularly difficult. And we've been joined by Q, Anquinette Sarfo, in the meantime. Hey, Q. This
I think when they
tough
come out of
for
the
you.
legal test.
Hello.
It's more shocking. It hurts more.
It does. It does.
Yeah, we mentioned Michigan Normal here. And Quinette and myself are on the board of Michigan Normal. So is Colin McDougall. So we worked with Zara, on that. But there were so many other things that you had worked on with her before. I mean, Motor City Normal. She was a principal there. She worked with MI Legalized. She was a force in the legislature. Every lobby day you had, no matter who sponsored the lobby day, she was there to speak to people. And
Yeah.
she was there when there wasn't a lobby day, speaking to people.
Man, so she also helped out ASA a lot, and she wasn't even officially a member. I think Brandy wants to let people know about that a little bit.
Well, yeah, Zara was a member. She just wasn't on the board because she had
Okay.
so many other hats.
All right. Well, that's what I meant.
She was always there, and we did a lot of Zoom meetings in the last few years with the pandemic, doing a lot of advocacy through the Zoom meetings, and just such a heartbreaking loss to our whole movement.
For sure.
If you look at the amount of outpouring there has been on her passing, it's kind of unprecedented. We mentioned Rashida Tlaib reading her name into the congressional record. Leah, you mentioned previously a couple of different letters of recognition. Where did they come from again?
Yeah, so State Senator Sylvia Santana came by the home yesterday to pay her condolences, and she delivered a tribute from the Michigan State Senate to Mama Abbas and her dad. And I overheard Senator Santana, and she brought up cannabis policy. And she told her mom, your daughter really pushed a lot of people's opinions on it. And it was just so cool to hear our senator literally telling her mom, your daughter was influencing me and my policy, and she was always in my ear, kind of thing. And she said, and she stayed, and it was really great to see her. So that's awesome. She's gotten a tribute from the Michigan State Senate. And then Colin, is it Wayne County Exec or Wayne County Commissioner for Sam Baydoun?
It says just Commissioner Baydoun, but it'll be put it to the whole commission.
So she also got a tribute from the Wayne County group as well, and Sam came and delivered it yesterday as well.
Yeah. I'm sure that she'll probably get a couple more, maybe from the House of Representatives and the city of Dearborn.
I wouldn't. Might
there was one that Rashida had for that statement that she made too. We saw it the other day, me, Brandy, and Jamie at the funeral.
Yeah, she came by and dropped it off today, actually. I just did not snap a picture of that one.
Yeah, but actually, I know that the first time me and Zahra and I, we met with Sylvia Santana because she did a show, and she was running for Senate, and she didn't know anything about marijuana, and somebody at the Dem Club like alerted me and Zara, and so we were like all over it. And we like met her in East Dearborn at like a bakery, and like for like a good hour and a half or so, we talked to her about cannabis. Yeah.
Yeah, she has gained awareness for sure, and
Yeah.
is
Oh, I
likely to
should
be more
also-
helpful on this issue now because of all that work. that
Yeah.
you guys did.
Yeah, I should also mention that Mayor Abdullah Hammoud also was there yesterday to pay his respects. She was a tireless volunteer for Abdullah on his mayor campaign.
Definitely.
This is a
Washtenaw
picture.
County Prosecutor Ellie Savit. Exactly. Leah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say this is Ellie Savit. Yeah, a good friend of hers.
She probably worked on his campaign too.
Washtenaw County
Yeah,
prosecutor and
yeah.
the best prosecutor in the state, and probably most states.
Yeah, she doesn't even live in Washtenaw, and she was stopping for Ellie. She has some pins of his somewhere, I swear. This is where they had an expungement fair together at the Monroe Street Fair this year after the Hash Bash rally. Ellie put up a beautiful post, and in it he mentioned that Zahra basically sat at that booth for like 8 or 10 hours. It was like all day, and she was enthusiastic and engaged the whole time. She was so excited. We planned for that event for so long, and you know, as soon as she reached out to Ellie, he was like, let's do it, let's get this done. And it was just a really great day, and he actually did get through a lot of applicants and help out some people, so it was tangible stuff that she was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No question.
You know, we'll continue to talk about the different things that she's done and the different events that she attended and the different people that she spoke to and the minds that she touched. But I think it's undeniable. All of us here feel a sense of loss right now that having been ripped from our lives so suddenly. I'm so glad someone commented earlier that Leah, it certainly seems as if you're poised to take the reins of some of the things that you and she were doing together as far as activism goes, and that her message will carry forward.
Some big shoes. Never will they be filled, but many hands will make it work.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I found is it's very rare to find a human being who is able to command respect by their mere presence, right? Their mere presence and the actions, and just as soft-spoken as she was, you respected her and you respected what she had to say. And for me, you know, a couple of things that we connected on, you know, on veteran issues, she had a lot of great opinions, and she wanted to help me in any way that she could. And I think that, and the other thing too is being Palestinian, we had that kind of cultural connection. And as Jim said, I love when I'm able to connect with folks who share that cultural perspective that I do. And yeah, she commanded respect, and she didn't have to command it. And I think that's what sets people like her aside from other types of folks that you couldn't help but want to listen to her.
You know, Dr. Detroit, Professor Whitty is in the comments here talking about she made such an impact on my class of mostly Muslim women who did not think a woman wearing a hijab could be a supporter or a user of cannabis. I know she changed minds. That was really important because in our community here, as far as being cannabis supporters and cannabis advocates, her individual religion is not very well represented in some of our advocacy efforts. She was groundbreaking in that respect. And because she kept true to those beliefs that she had consistently, I think she inspired others to step forward who might have felt intimidated. You know,
Definitely. And I think actually me and Q, weren't you in the class too when we went? Okay.
Yeah.
There was like 5 of us or so went up on the panel. But yeah, it was a class full of like Muslim young people. It was at U of M Dearborn, I believe, and they were really interested in listening to what Zara had to say. They kept asking her questions out of like all of us. I feel like the most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I want to tell you guys about this picture. So, like pre-COVID, me and Zahra went to a rally in Warren, and neither of us live anywhere near there, but she wanted to go. It was a Free Palestine rally, and that was a huge deal for her. And I said, sure, we'll drive there. And we met Dr. Shaheen, who is a vice chair of the MDP, and we told him point blank, young people, people of color, students, they don't feel involved enough in the party. And he took that to heart, left that conversation, and decided to create the MDP Coalition Dinner. And this is a picture of Zahra with the Young Democrats of Michigan board at their table at the coalition dinner, which is probably, and I wasn't unable to attend, so many of you can jump in who were there, you know, I think was one of the most diverse and fun things to plan. And what people don't know is she was on a meeting every Monday night to plan that event. And we also exchanged pictures back and forth for endless amount of time to figure out exactly what we were going to wear. But like this dinner, Dr. Shaheen recently attributed the entire creation of it to that conversation with us at that Warren rally. And a lot of people don't realize that she was the push behind creating that.
Rick and I were there.
We were. And it was a huge success. It really was. There were so many people there. And you could see the networking. Poor guy that started the thing off, the microphone, was trying to MC the event, but people were doing too much talking to each other, and he really didn't have control of the room. That's because it was a good event. People got together, and they spoke to people they hadn't seen in a while. That's how you connect people, and that's how you reestablish, networking. So, yeah, we have Jamie Cooper in the comments, Jen Bronson, Joe Brown. Thanks very much, everybody, for jumping in today. We sure appreciate it.
I was just going to say that what I loved the most about her was her willingness to put herself out there, even when she didn't really want to, wasn't really comfortable with it, but was just willing to do it for the cause. I met Zara, and I can never say her name the way you say it, Leah.
I've tried a lot, and I'm still not perfect.
No, but you sound great. And I'm also wearing this because I bought this at the Lansing caregiver rally that she was instrumental in putting together. And I'm like, oh, I'll wear some purple because that's her thing. So I'll put some purple on. Color. But no, I met her at this public. We were both guests on a public TV interview, and I was just so impressed by her because she was so soft spoken. But when you hear like someone say, I had several failed brain surgeries, and my father was like, hey, try cannabis, and she was against it at first. Yeah. She was so against it, and she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. But then she tried it, and man, thank God she did, because she became such an advocate for the cause. And what made her such, I think, an effective advocate was because she could cross barriers and cross cultures. And it was and to be a representative of such a conservative culture, and to say, I do this is okay, this is a plant, this is how it helps me. I knew that I wanted to work with her in some capacity, in some way, shape, or form. And I was really honored that she accepted. Like, will you at least interview for a job at Botanic? Because I would love for people to come into a provisioning center and see you instead of some girl in booty shorts. And she was like, yeah, I guess they don't wear booty shorts, but you know what I'm saying? It's just very, our industry can be overtly sexualized. And I liked that she represented something totally different. And so she agreed to at least, interview. And I will never forget, because her mom brought her to the interview, and she was going to stay outside during the interview. And we're like, no, you can't stay outside. So come on in. But it was a very, very small space. And so, Zara ended up doing her employment interview with her mom sitting right next to her. And I was thinking, there is no way I could ever do a job interview with my mom sitting next to me, because she would critique everything, but they were it seemed like just such a, obviously mother and daughter, because Zara had, the utmost respect, but they were simpatico. They were such a team. And they rooted each other on, and just her mom was just always so proud, and it was just so
Always.
beautiful to just be on the sidelines and to see this mother daughter, and to see this mom, look at her daughter bloom, and man, did she bloom. She just found her niche and just ran with it. And I mean, and just I guess it was the coffee and the cannabis, because I always wonder, where is she getting all this energy? Because my gosh, this girl is, it's like she's always in some meeting, she's always at some rally. I wanted her to do social media for me, because I loved the posts that she put out, because they were always educational and informative. And when she worked at Botanic, she put herself out there for people who were so uncomfortable with the whole situation. And so if you are, a grandma, and you walk into a provisioning center and you see Zara, you're like, oh, okay, well, this, this place must be all right. And she was also often the first voice, the first face that you would see, but also she was she was a resource for patients. And the minute somebody said to me they had epilepsy, I'm like, wait a minute, I got somebody you need to call. And she was always that reassuring voice to parents who were dealing with a child with epilepsy. She was this reassuring voice to a patient wondering, am I gonna be okay? And she was always just so reassuring and just so positive. I remember when she had a really bad seizure, and she knocked out so many of her teeth, and she was like, I'm gonna still be there. I have some oral short surgeries to get through, but I'll be there, and I'll make it. And she did. She was, as somebody said, she was a shower upper. She put in the work. And I gotta say, I am when I joined Normal of Michigan, I did it mainly because I was like, okay, well, if Rick is on there and Zara is on there, then at least I know that people are going to be doing some work. Colin, I didn't know you very well, but I know you now. You're a workhorse too, but I just, you just know that of her, that you can depend on her. And it's just really rare nowadays. And I guess what's so hurtful of this passing, because I kept saying all these couple of days, this is just so unfair, which is really naive, because, life is cruel and unfair. But you just don't expect someone so good with so much passion and drive and just so much grace to leave so quickly and so suddenly with so much left to do. There's so much to do, and we knew that Zara was going to be the one to get it done. And so it's just I feel robbed. I feel that she was robbed, her family was robbed, Michigan was robbed, we were robbed. And I guess they say you can't ask questions, it is God or Allah's will, but it's horrible and it's so sad. But we're still here, and so we have to now do it for Zara. So let's do it for Zara.
Thanks, Q.
Let's do it for Zara.
As Leah mentioned before, these guys have been on Jazz Cabbage regularly.
Yeah, Rick, I stole your photo. That was definitely one of yours.
This one,
there's no good evidence that Rick took this picture.
I'm at the boards at this one.
Yep.
Yep, that's C-Mac all the way in the back with Derek Gauchi in there and Leah.
Yep.
And then that wonderful gentleman next to you.
Alex Thomas. He's a really big cannabis advocate from Ypsi Township.
He was great. And then that's Deborah Young down in the corner that you can see her head right at the microphone there. So that was back the Cave Radio days, when pre-pandemic, when we were still broadcasting live in studio. And it was such a joy to be able to bring people down and do interviews. I'm glad that we had an opportunity to capture some of Zara's words on video and on audio, so that some of that legacy continues forward in that format. Some of it's in here, some of it's in the internet.
Rob Robar, I think, made a comment on somebody's Facebook page about developing a strain in her name. I really, really hope we do that. I mean, we have some there's got to be some geneticists around here. I don't know. Somebody call up Deborah, ask her to start putting together some strains or something. But I hope that if anyone is deserving in Michigan of a strain named after them, it's her. I mean, I know maybe Dana too, sure, but Zara should have a strain named after her. It would be lovely if some cut of Canatonic can be, I don't know, cross-pollinated or whatever you guys do to make a new strain.
That doesn't seem to be too much to ask.
I hope someone takes and runs with it.
So the Cannabis Caucus is discussed. I think Marshall brought it up that we should look to have a regular award for somebody in the name of from the caucus.
Young Dems is also looking at doing an award too. Two of my board members asked about it.
It's a great idea.
Back to Rick's point of like having videos and speeches and things, we had a goal, a New Year's resolution that we were going to start a podcast, and we did. We started diving into young politics, and we would interview friends and progressive candidates. And her brother and I went to the studio today. I can say this, to get the printer, and we both walked in, and it was really hard. But then we both realized that we had like those videos and those recordings, and it meant a lot more. And like when we were making them, we were just having fun talking about what we cared about, and now like he and I are both really thankful that we do have that.
The on Ralston in Detroit.
Yeah, the Ralston. And then we changed from the Ralston to a studio in Dearborn. Her brother was our producer. We were working on a relaunch and new graphics and a whole new studio, and had a couple people that we'd reached out to about being guests. And I do believe Madi, her brother, wants to do the podcast in her honor. So like keep that voice and the pressure on those electeds like she would want us to do, right? But I'm really glad that her and I had those moments and rides and all those videos now.
Yes.
And man, did she grill some people. Like she really cared about her issues and really had like what she wanted you to say, like down,
She would have made a hell of a representative in a time in our country when we need good people like her. Boy, I mean, I've had a couple of conversations in the past, where she discussed her future plans in politics, and wow, she would have been awesome.
Yeah.
One of my YDM board members made a statement when we were sitting together, and he just kind of quietly said, we were all supposed to be in Lansing together, and that one's really been sticking with me.
She was the model person who could ascend to a higher office and perhaps even break the glass ceiling for Muslims when it comes to governorships and presidency. She had all of those things. We knew for a long time that she was not well. I mean, she never made a secret of it. But
speaking of breaking glass ceilings, this is a picture of her at her first in-person DNC meeting, which is the Democratic National Committee. She was the first Arab American elected from Michigan to represent us on the national stage in the Democratic Party. And I remember that whole process of prepping for the convention, of working on her speech, of practicing it on the phone, and then like realizing she had this position, and then her calling me going, so we're going to DC together, right? And me and her and Liano had such an amazing weekend, and to watch her work that room and meet the friends she made, and just like the conversation she would have. When we met Nina, we were both sitting on a couch and we were like poking each other and we're like, is that her? And she's like, let's go find out. And she wasn't going to tell Nina how much work she'd done for her. And I just blurted it out. I was like, Nina, this woman sends 5,000 texts a day for you. And Nina's like, what, do you guys live in Ohio? And she's like, no, I'm from Dearborn, Michigan. But like, I really trust in you, you know? And just like, that was something else that a lot of people in Michigan don't know is like, she took her DNC delegate job like an organizer. She was helping Nina. She was helping a candidate in New York. Like, she was advising other people about cannabis issues in other states. Like, she had broken into the national level of stuff. And she kind of looked at me and was like, how did this happen? I'm so glad she dragged me to DC that week. We had an amazing time, and I was just kind of her +1 to everything.
What a good place to be.
Yeah. Took a wrong turn, didn't realize it till we were staring at the Capitol, and I was like, we're not supposed to be seeing that right now. That's a good one of her and Deb.
Still at the again at the studio. Yeah.
Yep,
Purple. That's her love and purple right there.
Yep.
Yeah, we talk about Hash Bash, and she spoke at Hash Bash, and we talk about the radio show, and she spoke at the Jazz Cabbage radio show. But I mean, she was a sought-after speaker for events of all kinds, you know, all across the state. She had an experience level that allowed her to speak intelligently on almost any of those subjects.
I don't know if she had shared with any of you guys, but something that had happened more recently is some mosques had been reaching out to her to talk to like young people about elections and voting and stuff. And she was really excited to have that like totally new avenue of advocacy. And she always would talk about like one of the issues that she talked about is like there's no Arab spot on the census. Like that totally screws them out of resources. And she was so excited to be able to start activating like young Arab people in her community to like start taking more of that power back. And to have those doors start opening for her was really cool.
I'm going to reload on some new picks here.
Colin, did you want to add anything else in? I know that we've covered so much ground since last you spoke, and you knew her so well.
I was gonna say, I guess I just wanted to like, I mean, you guys kind of covered it in a way, like everything that I like, how organized she was, and I'm trying to think of a good memory I have with her. I think just going to the High Times Cup. At the like Speedway, it was pretty interesting because like people would stop and talk with her, and she was always talking with everyone, and yeah, that was a good time. And I just drove her around like to all these different events back in 2016, and even further. And actually, the last time I saw her was the night before she passed away, and it was kind of unusual because it was almost like I had done it so many times before. I was like, oh, I have done this like in so long, and pretty it was just pretty sad that the next day just how it was just like a cut, like really hard.
Yeah.
I know I called some of you guys pretty soon after and talked to all of you.
Yeah, giving you that call was really hard.
Yeah.
I had no idea at that time you'd seen her the night before. And when I had found that out, I was really glad she was with one of her besties, you know?
Yeah.
I remember in the early days when Zara first started to be part of the community, I was really sensitive about using bad language around her
Oh, do you remember Ray's jokes and how she would react?
Razor Ray Reyes is one of the most sexual people you'll ever want to meet, and he reflects that in all aspects of his character.
That sounds
including
horrible.
The way he speaks, he is. I'm sorry. I mean, you touch him, you need a wipe. You need a hand.
She was so glad when I showed up to your radio shows because sometimes those jokes.
So he gets pretty raunchy, and here's poor Zahra, and she's sitting there, and I'm restraining myself because I don't want to embarrass, and she's just sitting there, not leaving the room, not shrinking back, just sitting there. She's not going to have her world altered by all this nastiness going on around. And she was such a trooper. She took it all, and she didn't. She was unflappable. That's the word. Unflappable.
I
She's
never
always
see her back down.
She's always in. Right now, there's a commercial with Rashida Tlaib, and Zara's in it, and it's coming on like my TV and stuff. But like, she's always like on like if you like watch the news or something, she like gets in it because there was like a Bernie rally, and like Zara's in like one of the in the background of this shot. And there was something else that she was in. I was like, oh, Zara's on the TV again.
Sounds like her.
Well, she was on like the thing with you, but she was on more than that.
DC.
Especially during the 2018.
Yeah, she just did a commercial shoot for Rashida, and she was so excited. So like she was a huge supporter, but also friend of Rashida's, and like she was so excited. And then she got a mailer. Did you get a mailer, Colin, with her on the lit? Because she said that she's on the lit, and I just was like, what? Like and it's a great picture. It's Rashida's profile picture right now. But I mean, she just looks so happy. Like she believed so much in the same issues, and saw a pathway forward in that seed, and she'd fight for it. She'd fight for what she believed in.
The last time I spoke to Zahra was when I got the mailer with Rashida, and I saw her picture, and I called her to say, you're in my mailbox, and how beautiful she looked. And she's so humble and so modest, and she said she was embarrassed that that was she was on the flyer, but I thought it was wonderful. And one thing I really loved about speaking to her, that I have epilepsy too, and so I know that she and I could connect that way, and that she is one of the only folks that I know who understands how scary epilepsy is and how lonely it can be, that there's other emotional and mental issues that go with it, as well as the physical things. And when I wasn't feeling well, I know I could call her. When she wasn't feeling well, she could call me. And I loved that whenever we spoke, we'd always tell each other we loved each other, and I'm so grateful for that, because we just never know when that will be the last time you say I love you to someone. And she was such a positive person. She brought joy and light everywhere. She never had a negative word to say about anyone, and I think that that's a quality that's very admirable. I had another fun memory of her, and that I shared with Q, where we went to the Copper House, and we were hosted by the wonderful ladies there who were doing a promotional shoot for a dispensary, and they were focusing on the women's right to vote, because it was the anniversary of when women got to the right to vote in 2020, the 100th year. So it was beautiful to see the powerful piece that they created from our interviews. And I was just really honored to be part of that group of, the three of us, but, to be honored to be with such wonderful women like Zara and Q, and she was always, so involved in politics, not just advocacy, but making sure that people were getting out to vote and being informed about what was on the ballot or the candidates and things too. So don't forget that Tuesday is our primary election in Michigan, and we all owe it to her to show up, if we haven't already dropped off our ballots, to be there and vote on Tuesday.
True that. She would not respect us if we did not. The primary is just as important as the general election, and many of the races are uncontested, other than within the party itself. So,
yeah, she was working pretty heavily on some really important primaries. There's no
evidence
definitely want us to get there.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty obvious who she supports on this one.
Yeah. Well, now that we have a lot of work to do to fill in the void. So many hands make light work. I want to encourage everyone to pick up one of her phone lists, because she had a lot of responsibilities, including this weekend, which she had committed to doing door knocking or phone lists. So I encourage you, if you want progressive candidates to win elections, to join some campaigns and volunteer in her honor.
Yeah. She was really focused on Andy Levin and Rashida Tlaib for this weekend. Those were her two targets. She was leading phone banks and training people. She'd call me and she was really excited. She recently got to train like 5 brand new phone bankers, and we're so close to GOTV, so that was a huge deal to get 5 new phone bankers on. And she's like, I had to really work on Zoom tonight, but yeah. She was mad because she couldn't knock doors, and so the next thing I knew, she was like, "So Leah, I'm running 3 phone banks," and I was like, "Girl."
That sounds just like her. I'm running 3 phone banks.
We can do something.
Right, yes.
And in her spare time was helping Alex Garza, Bilal Hamoud. I mean, she literally just... It
the
was
Mikhail
crazy.
Goodman campaign in Pontiac, she helped with that too.
Oh,
yes.
Those days were the best. We'd drive up on a Saturday morning, knock doors with Mikhail, crash out on his couch. She would demand coffee in the morning. And Mikhail learned pretty quick that iced coffee in the fridge is not the kind of coffee that Zahra wants. And we would then have proper coffee, and then we'd go knock more doors on Sunday, and then her and I would drive home from Pontiac, and I'd take her to Dearborn, and we spent a lot of weekends together doing that. And her and me and Mikhail got pretty close those times, and man, she was so excited when we saw Pontiac take a whole new change. Like, she would be so excited when we got wins. Like, the Dana Nessel campaign, like she was so happy to see like progress, and actually see those steps getting made. And recently she'd been really focused on wanting to recruit more people and build the bench and make sure that we had, steps in place to get those changes and get Lansing.
So
she's really thinking ahead.
For sure. So Leah, Joe, there's a lot of people that have already been reaching out saying, does family need any help? How can we do? What can we do? How can we, help out in any way that might be needed? Is there something going on with that, or some news we'll get at some point where those?
Yeah. So stay tuned. I will most likely send massive amounts of text to everybody again, but I am in contact with the family. I am in contact with some various Michigan Dems, and there will most likely be some efforts to help out with some of the financial burden. Of course, if you want to send a sympathy card or flowers, Colin or I would be happy to let you know how to do that. I can tell you from several long conversations with her brother this week that the family was blown away by the amount of support that they've seen, and they really do feel the love. And, a lot of us were the ones that talked to her like every day. And so sharing those stories and the pictures is helping some of them too. And there is a memorial for her this Thursday. If you were unable to attend this past Friday's service, if you would like information on that, Jamie, I'll make sure you get the flyer, and it would be great to see more people there to just kind of continue to support them.
So that's August 4th, like this.
Yeah, August 4th. Yeah. Q mentioned a lot about her mom and her, and her mom and her were best friends, and her little brother were best friends, and her sisters were best friends. I mean, everyone had a very close relationship with her. She was so invested in knowing everyone and remembering everything and caring about everyone, and it means a lot. So please continue to show up for him.
I would also suggest maybe donating to the Epilepsy Foundation of Michigan.
Yeah.
She volunteered there, and she was like very active with them throughout her whole journey in activism. She was the Grand Marshal recently in their parade, and I know that would mean a lot to her too. And I think that we all should wear more purple in remembering her. I don't think I have enough.
Jamie, that's from our post-election vacation.
Jamie's digging deep in the photos. Excellent work, sir. Excellent work.
We got this place for dirt cheap because if you see, the lake is dried up, and I would find her every morning just relaxing and with a cup of coffee in her hand, sitting on the little beach because I always got up after her, and she would just be chilling there, enjoying the morning and enjoying her coffee.
Such a peaceful individual, really.
Yeah.
I think she's holding coffee in that picture, for the record.
It looks like it.
Yes, it is. It is coffee.
Yeah. Well cited. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Yeah. We've done this too often, Jamie. We've memorialized a lot of people lately, you know, with Boston George and Marvin and a lot of the other folks too. It's sort of a sign of the times, I think.
Yeah, definitely too much.
And Jazz Cabbage, we're certainly happy to call attention to the people who really have done the work.
I played hooky from work that day to drive her to Lansing.
Radisson Hotel, I recognize that carpet. Yeah.
It was my first time at a legislative hearing. She took me and walked me through it.
Yeah. And she was a champion of. We've talked a lot about cannabis too, but she was a champion of many different issues. Women's issues, of course, naturally, things that hit home with her. But Leah mentioned line 5, some of the environmental concerns she had.
She was
local
a really big
concerns
Sunrise movement. The Green New Deal was a huge thing that she fought for. And
what about the
I would
Dearborn
say,
Piper?
yeah, so I was going to say universal health care was another really big issue of hers. And she did a lot of work with Healthy Dearborn. And then eventually she transferred into Dearborn Pipers, which helped her actually focus on her passion for disability rights. I mean, someone asked me, what were her top issues? And I started thinking about all the conversations and, her work. And I was like, all of them? How? Most people have 2 or 3 that they work on. But I mean, right. she sincerely, she would understand the issues, understand the policy, and she would be able to tell you how it impacted her and her friends and her family and her goal of where we were going to get. And I mean, she had it down. She knew who she was and what she believed and where we needed to go. Joe Sullivan, we would go to Tim Hortons and order 2 large dark roast double doubles.
What's a double double?
Cream and sugar.
Oh,
2 sugars, 2 creams.
Okay.
And she'd usually grab a grilled cheese a lot of times too, because we had coffee all day, every day.
When you really like coffee, dark roast, yes.
She has I don't know. What do you think, Colin? 3 or 4 shelves probably of coffee mugs.
I don't know. She had tons of different kinds of unique, good, strong coffee mugs.
Yeah, she collected cannabis socks. She had her cannabis socks, her political buttons. She kept every lanyard from all of her conferences and conventions. She really built memories everywhere she went. And I might have snuck a few of those coffee cups into her house for her too.
Yeah. It's wonderful to be able to reflect here on.
I remember the first. I mean, I'd seen her at, being involved in some cannabis stuff. I never really connected too much, but there was a gathering in Traverse City. I remember it was in April, and Rick and I got pulled over on the way there
by the cops.
We were able to continue, by the cops. That was the
classic Rick and Jamie.
Yeah. And completely got out of it via Camoran law, for the record. But
It wasn't easy.
it was some kind of somebody saw some, this is a long time ago, but somebody noticed that there was some divisiveness in the community and thought they could bring a bunch of people together to have a conversation and try to get through some of it or whatever. I think that's what that was based on. And I forgot everybody who was there, but most people, it was up in Traverse City, so most people stayed the night or the weekend or whatever. We all got to had that discussion, and most people met up for meals and stuff like that. And talked to her a lot more. Thought it was great, as people have mentioned, that she was there representing, another, representing a lot of the Muslim community and people who aren't normally just open and honest about it. And I had a lot of great conversations. She was so traditional, yet she was very modern in perspective on things. Just really enjoyed talking. Religion, philosophy. She could get pretty deep on some stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure many of you on those car rides know, but Jamie, you could talk about anything, everything, and she would tell some people she'd had 2 brain surgeries, so she had some issues with memory and stuff. But this woman could rattle off so much knowledge and numbers. She could do math for me in a heartbeat because I can't do math. I mean, she blew my mind at the depths of conversations you could have with her, because we wouldn't listen to music on any of our car rides, so we would just talk. I mean, for that whole time together.
Yeah. I would talk with her the whole time too. She'd talk about different stuff going on in the state legislature and nationally. She was up on all of it for years.
She did a lot of traveling too. She was in DC a lot. She nationally representing the Democratic Party as well. She was, as you mentioned, Leah, she really had developed a national reputation.
Here she is in Mackinac. This is part of a Line 5?
Yeah, no, this is the cannabis barbecue, Jamie.
No, but I mean, weren't you guys up there that weekend?
Yeah, this was our weekend of Line 5 action, yeah.
Yeah. That was a cannabis barbecue. That was a good one. There's Eric Gunnels.
We had a giant downpour on our tent and soak everything and couldn't go do anything one night. So I drove us all to Walmart. We bought a trivia game and she kicked our butt in trivia for the rest of the night.
Nice. Well,
yeah. I'm very happy that we had a chance to get together to talk about the life and the legacy of Zahra Abbas. And what's the details on that Thursday memorial, please?
Yeah, 1 second. I need to pull it up on my Facebook. My messenger. I believe. Hold on, it's loading. I apologize, everyone. Yes. Okay, so there is a commemoration for her at 6 p.m. on August 4th. So this coming Thursday. It'll be at the Islamic Institute of Knowledge in Dearborn, so the same location as the services on Friday. And all are welcome to attend, of course. And it would mean a lot to continue. This is the last big event for the family, and it would be great to see some faces that she loved and cared about.
And you sent me this earlier, and her brother wanted to get this one in.
Yeah, this was the last take of our podcast, our first record, to make sure that all of our mics and our cameras and everything worked. And that's our friend Trip Frank zooming in, and he bared with us. And Madi was the one behind the computer, and he was so excited and proud to be able to do this podcast for his sister. And he sent me this and asked if we could include it. He really was trying to find a way to help her elevate her voice. He'll tell you he didn't get all the issues, but he knew that he needed to help her promote it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Beautiful. Very well said.
Yeah.
Didn't get all the issues, but needed to help her promote it. Yeah. It's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks to all those people in the comments again. Danielle, Ryan Bringle, Joe Sullivan, CJ. Appreciate all that. Latrice, Shelley Smith again. Loves Wood Heat. Nina, Rob, Nina, thank you very much. Shelley, of course. So we appreciate all those people participating and all the people watching that haven't chimed in on the chat, but still feel the love too.
Here's a powerhouse.
Yeah, this is at the Legacy dinner. She was sitting at Andy Levin's table, and she wanted to take this picture with them with her former Congresswoman Dingle, and her new incoming Congresswoman, Rashida Tlaib. And it was a fun conversation with those two ladies, and she was very excited to have a picture with both of them.
I bet.
Debbie Dingle spoke at Hash Bash 1 year, and I'm quite certain if we look down the road a year or two in the future, Rashida Tlaib will probably be there speaking as well. You know, and both of them followed Zahra because she.
I was gonna say, Colin and Zahra, you did a lot to get Debbie on board, didn't you?
Oh yeah, we met with her office all the time.
Yeah.
It was hard to get close to her, but after a while, we eventually broke through.
And Debbie came on when we did it online.
No, Rashida, Andy, Debbie, Helena. I mean, they were all her friends. Like those, and Dana Nessel. Like those people were her friends. They were people she believed in, but they also became, people she'd wish happy birthdays to and talk to and have coffee with sometimes. Her and Rashida would text, and she'd tell me about it, brief things, but she believed in them, and she opened doors for so many of us to get some really good legislation and policy passed. And I'm very grateful and thankful that she paved that way.
She absolutely did. And I know from my meetings with ASA, we meet with our congressional reps in DC at the Unity Conference every year. And I know that Rep Dingle's staff mentions Zahra as being one of the people that really, being a constituent, influenced them to want to be more strong in their support for cannabis. And that last photo was from the wonderful group of speakers at the IHEP Michigan conference that I was unable to attend because I tested positive for COVID. But just really glad that she was able to participate and speak on several panels. And I think that she moderated a few too. She moderated some of the legal panels. And I'm sad, especially sad that I missed that because that would have been the last opportunity for us to have been together. But I am just so honored that she had been a part of my life, and I admired her so very much. She gave me so much strength and hope, and just so much love for her and for all of the community that loves her, and through her passing, I do feel that we all need to do what we can to step up and bump up our work just a little higher level and try to take on some of those responsibilities that she had taken. And together we will, be stronger as a community. We have a lot of work to do. She'd want us to keep going. And, she loved everyone, I felt like, unconditionally. And we have so much to learn from her example of living a beautiful life. She walked her talk. And just rest in power, our friend.
Yeah. This was a tough one.
Yeah. And we look forward and we look at the potential that she had to do things. And we talked about House of Representatives, local office, House of Representatives. Leah mentioned, a group of ambitious young Dems saying, yes, we're all going to be here one day together. And that was a reality. It was a real goal. And she laid the foundation in the way that many of the people trying to pursue a career in politics have not done. We have a field of Republican candidates trying to achieve governor's office who've never held any public office, never done even a tenth of what Zahra's done. And I just think to myself, he would have been far more competent at the top job than any of them.
This must be the legal discussion.
Yes. She was leading a discussion about 5512 with them for a lot of it. I snapped this one.
Yep. She appeared on a lot of.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rick. This is the legal panel. I think she moderated 3 or 4 of them at this expo. It was last May. It was attorneys Paul, Talinda, and Tom Dean, and Mark. Someone from the West Side. I'm sorry, I forgot his name.
I didn't recognize that guy either.
She did so much work on 5512. I mean, Jamie, you and her were on calls with state reps and state senators all the time. And I will tell you guys, no one ever got email and phone responses like Zahra Abbas. I mean, we could send emails from nonpartisan groups, from our emails, and she'd send it to me and copy me, and my inbox would blow up. I mean, she got such a response because people respected her in Lansing. They respected her in DC. They respected her in all the communities. And it kind of got to be this thing where it was like, if Zahra reaches out, you should probably take a meeting.
She definitely got meetings that were difficult to get, and they made a big difference. Sometimes we talked to people and gave them useful information, and I'm really happy I got to work with her a lot last year. A lot of it online, obviously, but I mean, not just 5512, a lot of other issues. We kind of formed a nice team, a lot of times you were on those too, Leah, and it was really cool to have,
Yeah, those busy weeks, Jamie, she would tease me that you were now her most contacted contact when you had all those meetings.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, that was great. That was, really, I mean, that time now I'm really happy I was able to spend with her and do some good work. So I really want to continue doing a lot of that kind of stuff with you, though, Leah, as long as you're up for it.
Yeah.
We can still continue a lot of that stuff on.
We still got a fight that we got to keep fighting on. She wanted to see federal legalization, y'all. We got a lot of fight ahead of us still.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a very somber issue.
Yeah.
Jamie, you still searching for pictures there?
Yeah, I think that's about all I have queued up. I mean, as Leah said, there are a lot more out there.
There's
pictures everywhere she went. Homes of them.
Everywhere. I went through Facebook today. She took a picture of every single meal she made on our weekend cabin vacation, and I didn't even know those were out there. And then I started crying about how good the food was, and realizing that I'm never gonna have her food again. I was like, oh man, okay, I gotta get off Facebook now. But she would document everything. I mean, and she ran a lot of social media groups for different groups. She would work with Michigan Freedom Coalition, the Cannabis Caucus, YDM. I think she did some for Michigan Normal and Motor City Normal. And I don't know, she was just good at it. She really knew how to talk to people, reach people, and something Q mentioned is she liked to educate people about it too. So she would give tidbits of information and resources, and yeah, I mean, man, her reach.
Nikki's chiming in, Colleen, Haas is here.
Yeah. She did touch a lot of people's lives. Does anyone else have a story they'd like to share?
Rick, I could keep you here all night. You don't want to open the floor to me. I think Brandy's agreeing. Colin, you look like you might have agreed. Yeah.
No, I say I want to hear more of your memories with her. Please share.
There are just so many little moments that I keep thinking of, I guess. She was very like caretakery of our YDM group. So she was the oldest in our group, right? YDM, you age out at 36, and we had recently started teasing her that she'd have to start the middle-aged Dims. She didn't like that idea, so she was going to now be our alumni board director. That was the plan, and you know, it was really funny because like our group has just gotten so close since we got elected in 2019, and like I said, she didn't really want to be on YDM initially, and then she joined, and then she recruited Trip and she recruited Corey, and you know, throughout this weekend, as people have called and I've thought about it, I think a lot of the groups wouldn't have a lot of the energy and the skill and things if she hadn't known how to recognize a leader or an organizer or someone who needed to be connected. So as I'm thinking about like Cannabis Caucus and Young Dems, the two groups I did the most with her in, like she was pivotal in building those. And with both of them, she kind of helped rebuild them from kind of nothing. Like there really wasn't a foundation. And there really wasn't like a project too hard for her, even when it looked like, what are we getting ourselves into? She'd be like, we got to do this. We got to set it up. We got to make it good for everyone who comes up behind us. And she really jumped in head first. And a lot of us on the board were always thankful for her laughter and her smiles on the board meetings, and for her very organized notes, and for being like a rational voice when we had to make hard choices. And I think that's where like professionally I spent the most time with her was YDM and Cannabis Caucus. As her best friend, I think one of my favorite moments is running away after the election and forgetting like to bring any movies or Netflix or anything because where there's no computer. So we just watched bad chick flicks from the DVD selection at this little Airbnb vacation place. And she made absolutely amazing food the whole weekend. And we just kind of hit our phones and hit our computers. And we just kind of forgot for a second that we were like these political organizer people. And we were just two best friends hanging out in the middle of the woods, you know? And she had a countdown going for our next vacation after this election cycle. And she was always really big in setting those countdowns so that like you knew something good was coming. And I remember she would text me pictures of how many days till that vacation we had to like get us through the election cycle. And so I'm so thankful that we've highlighted her as an organizer and a leader, but there were those sweet just Zahra moments that I really, really loved. Or like falling off her bed trying to catch the cat, or like her putting cayenne on literally everything that she ate. Like just the kind of weird little quirky things that you just kind of knew were her. And eventually you started making sure that there was Snicker bars around and you knew to show up with coffee. And those things will always be a little reminder that she's here. And we won't forget her easy because she's literally everywhere.
I mean, you know it. Step back and look at this and the response and that kind of stuff. And it's just so obvious how deep her reach is gone. So you have to tell her all the time. I mean, obviously, you've got to slow down, take a little time for a minute. You know, I mean, I can relate to a degree, but she had it on a couple higher levels.
There were times when it certainly seemed like she was working too much, considering how stressful her medical condition was at that particular time. But she didn't want to back out of a commitment. She said she was going to do something, then it didn't matter how she felt. She was going to finish that out. That was her deal.
I actually felt guilty even asking her to do anything because I knew she was already so busy. So that's why I didn't ask her to be a board member of ASA, because she already was involved with so many other things. And I went to the service and was just really amazed at how many people were there. And it was all in Arabic. I understood Alhamdulillah, Inshallah, Habibi, and that's it. And I got a lot of comfort knowing that her community also included us and the cannabis folks that were there. That there was such a beautiful way to send someone home in their homecoming, and it was hard, especially not understanding any of what was really going on, but looking to each other, and I just felt her there, and I almost would think like, well, gosh, I would want to ask her, like, what am I supposed to do right now? and I realized,
Brandy, I was thinking the exact same thing when we were there. I was like, oh my gosh, Zara would be the one telling me what's going on. Right? I'm like, oh, this is horrible, because she would be the one just, patiently explaining things, just making sure that you were just feeling, a part of it, even though you're not, because you don't know what's going on. You don't understand. And I was just thinking, this is so appropriate and inappropriate, because obviously you're here. But if you were here fully, you would help all of us Westerners, know what's going on. And that would be so Zara.
Yeah.
When that, Brandy, I thought it was just me. I was just like, oh my God, I really need Zara.
I was right behind you too, and I was like, what do we do? Like, we're all like stuck there, and like finally somebody came up to me and he told me, like, okay, the men have to go up to the men's side, and the women go to the women's side.
Yeah.
And it was pretty interesting.
I wish somebody would have told that to me in Amazon when we walked in.
I found you.
Yeah, thanks for that.
I can tell you guys that I think that was one of the first most like diverse attendees that a lot of their family have seen at something, just judging by some conversations. And the fact that everyone did their best to be respectful and just be there, it meant so much to them that we even cared to like come and try to be respectful. And I was talking to her brother, and he told me that a lot of us were the people she'd want there because we were the people she talked to all the freaking time. We're the people she saw all the time. And something that I've learned this weekend, because I've been spending the days over there with her family for condolences, is that for the first 3 days, she is believed to hear and see and be with everyone. She goes home with all her loved ones. And I've spent a lot of time with her family this week, and I can tell you that being together does make it better. And there is a really strong sense that she's still around. And like I said, there'll be lots of reminders. Coffee, cannabis for all of us, I know we all use that every day. We'll think about her literally every freaking day. But I wanted to share that with you guys, that is something I learned this week, that every time you've thought of her or talked to her, if you were driving in your car and you talked to her like I did, Sumaya and Madia, her friends, have told me that she hears all of that. And that helps her go on her journey.
That's really great to know. I appreciate you sharing that.
And I have a new excuse to eat Snickers, so that's good.
So a lot of people would have liked to have gone to the service, but part of what goes on in this culture and this belief system is they get right to it, and it's and the services go down very shortly after passing, and short notice for a lot of people. But that's when the August 4th thing could come in, and some people probably have also made it to the other condolences that were arranged.
Yes. Yeah, some friends came through, and I was telling Mom who they were after they like left, to kind of, because she'd asked me, wait, I can't connect, And you all know Nick Ramel, a good friend, stopped by, and as I was explaining it, she goes, "Oh, she was on the phone with him all the time," and like it just like dawned on her for like who some of these people that were so important to her and to Zahra that she hadn't necessarily gotten to know herself, but she was, connecting those dots to parts of who Zahra was, and it's a beautiful thing of who this person was and the diverse group of people that she brought together.
I got to meet her mom one time that maybe more, but one time that I can definitely remember. It was during the 2018 elections, and I was at I think the Plymouth Democrats or Canton Democrats or something like that. Just talking about the "Am I Legalized" petition and stuff, and she was there, and her mother was there accompanying her. We got to talk a little bit. So, it's a long time ago now.
Yeah. I know her mom real well. I got to meet her a ton of times. She's really a great lady. She said that Zara was her hero, and like in a way, Zara's all of our heroes. And she's a great woman.
And did she say something like that? Zara helped to Americanize the family, or something? Something like that.
I don't know if she said that.
Something, I don't know.
But she was very involved with Healthy Dearborn too, and I got to go in a couple of years ago, and I was involved because of Zara, and Zara wanted me to like be at these meetings, and she like went on to like, I think she even told me like the night before that like tomorrow she had a Healthy Dearborn committee meeting she had to go to. So she's still quite involved with that group, and it's good. They like help people in Dearborn, and it's tied with like all the healthcare in the schools and stuff. Mm-hmm. She's but Zara was really dedicated to that cause too.
So her mom seems,
Yeah, and her mom too.
She she is too, and is gonna.
Yeah, healthcare, public healthcare reform. So she studied like health policy stuff. Like this was what she did. Like, we would have conversations about like pursuing masters and things and what we might want to go into. And she'd oftentimes talk about doing something with like public health. And she had some really hard experiences trying to do clinicals and things in that realm. And, she was coming back around to deciding the next steps. And I always love to talk about the policy stuff with her because I didn't understand a lot of it. And she got a lot of what we needed to do with our healthcare system. And she didn't just like theorize it. She joined groups like Healthy Dearborn and actually like did the work to start doing it.
We could approach like elected officials and people that want to become elected officials like about cannabis back in 2017, 2018, and it was great. I got to like, thanks to her, I definitely got to like meet like all the candidates and city council people, and they like know who I am. Most of them, at least, they recognize me. They might not remember my name, but yeah.
Yeah, she got me to meet Linda Sarzler once, and like I said, we met Nina Turner together. And she would just like decide, okay, I think that is who it is, and then walk up to him, like, and of course get a picture with him every time.
Yeah.
Fearless. Loved
she wanted to go skydiving. Colin, you ever talk about that with her?
No, I never talked about that.
She and my partner on the ride home from Mackinac were talking about wanting to go skydiving, and my response was, I will take the pictures and have joints ready for you on the ground. But I mean, like, we talk about a free, adventurous spirit. Like, that was one of her, like, bucket list things, and I was like, girl, you do that. I'll be right there on that ground waiting for you with the joint.
Well, there's no time frame around this, and certainly, we can keep going. I was trying to find another picture here that I was thinking of that I thought was kind of cool that I came across.
I wanted to ask Leah if you knew if Zara had a favorite song or music to listen to.
So I could ask Madi because I know that she would listen to some various like Arabic hymns. But like we never listened to music together really. I don't Colin, did you guys ever? Yeah, no, I mean it was not a big music thing for her. Like
Well, I would love to hear if you find the link to
Yeah.
her Arabic music. I think that would be a wonderful experience for all of us.
Yeah, the only time I ever caught her listening to music was a couple times in the morning on vacation. She had some really nice Arabic playlists that she'd listen to, but I couldn't tell you what they were.
When we were at the service listening to the prayers, there was like a hymn or a song, and even though I couldn't understand the words, I definitely could feel the power of the song and the prayer, and it was very beautiful and very moving.
Her best friend was explaining to me that a lot of that service was them describing good deeds, like what they were and which ones she had done. And it was a lot of sending good deeds and good thoughts back to her, basically. And they've explained to me that, like, the more people that pray for her and give these things to her, like, the easier the transition is. But they said that they did a good job describing her for all the good things that she did.
That is so beautiful, and I'm so glad that we learned that. And I know that in our own way, that's what we're doing here. She did so many wonderful things, and so many people are now connected in this larger community that she helped build, and that's a beautiful thing. It's an incredible legacy, So I feel like we all can hopefully step up our efforts. And maybe not even just in cannabis. Like she, cared about the environment. She cared about healthcare. She cared about human rights and education and everything. So she definitely learned how to build alliances and allyships. And I hope we all learn from her example there too. The way that we need to build bridges. Because when we're all lifted up together. When we lift us up with each other.
Leah, you mentioned food. What was her favorite dish to cook? Arabic food wise. I know I talked to her a little bit about what she'd make, but what was a favorite of yours?
I think some of the best stuff was we would go camping and she made these really good like chicken kebabs with she'd always have a salad and peppers and things like that. She'd yell at me for not eating enough vegetables. But she had these chicken patties that I loved that she would make and do all like the fixings for them that we would take grilling. And then we made chicken kebabs once out on the grill at Cannapalooza up at Nikki and Abby's event. Rick and Jamie, I know you guys are both there, right? Yeah. She brought a whole grill and I mean like the kitchen and everything. And she made the whole thing. It was really fun, especially because I might have had a couple edibles, so I was really hungry.
Let's talk about her consumption, because we talk about how her story of cannabis healing is one of the things that endeared her to a lot of people and opened a lot of doors. But what was her preferred way of taking it, and how did cannabis help her illness, Leah?
Colin, you might know more, I think.
I think that she would take a couple capsules like every day, and they were like, there was some one-to-one and maybe like a CBD capsule. She was probably more stoned than all of us. We just didn't know. Like all
She
the
would
time.
smoke and stuff in between. She would say like take the capsules for the for seizures and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
and she would have like a vape too.
Yeah. So she always had a THC vape, and she'd always have a CBD vape as well.
Yeah.
Because she very strongly believed and also felt the effects of like CBD could balance out for her if she got a little too much of that THC. So she'd always keep a CBD vape with her as well, and she always had an emergency stash of her capsules that she actually originally could buy from the dispensaries, and then when everything went crazy, the company she always got from stopped, and so she would then start buying the oils, and she started making her own home capsules.
Yeah.
And so someday she would just decide that she was going to make capsules that evening and just sit there and make capsules for like the month, you know.
Yeah. And
That's awesome.
sometimes her capsules, they will, be like 2 to 1, 3 to 1 THC to CBD. So she would measure that out, like 500 milligram THC, coconut oil.
Yeah. And when she was able to, she would microdose throughout the day sometimes too. She got really good at knowing like when she needed her medicine. I feel like just from the times I would spend with her, it's like she was a little tired or stressed. She needed a little more of a microdose. But yeah, we definitely smoked a lot of joints together too.
Everyone else getting an echo on the sound.
It might be me. I don't know. I remember when we were working on the 5512 bills, and she said to me that she didn't actually have a caregiver, that she relied exclusively on the provisioning centers because they had at the time the kinds of products that she was looking for, and she knew that they were consistent. And she relied on that consistent dosing, which was so critical for her type of epilepsy. And she wanted to make sure, though, that everyone who needed a caregiver would have that same access that she would have to the dispensary. She fiercely fought to protect caregiver rights, even though she didn't enjoy them herself. And I think that said something a lot about her character. She didn't just fight for something because it benefited her directly. It's because it was for the good of all. And, she worked very, very hard on those bills. With Jamie and I worked with her in different capacities. Jamie and I are on the board of Michigan ASA chapter, but he also worked with her with the Democrats and the caucus. And having so many meetings on the Zoom with her, she always spoke for pediatric patients as well, because they, use the similar tinctures and capsules that she needed to have and found benefit from. So she represented every reason why a patient would need a caregiver, so strongly fought for all of us. So I know that those conversations are, you don't hear about that happened, but she and a large group together, but it was all she. I couldn't believe how she could juggle 2 or 3 meetings at the same time, or bounce back in and out, and without a heartbeat, just be right, there with the targeted point. And you can see when legislators would kind of like, it would click in their head. You could even see it in their eyes change the moment when they got it. When we were working on the driving and the Jamie, what's the one with the probation where they're going to Medicaid on probation, that old bill that still is floating there?
The TUI?
Yeah, it would overturn TUI.
Right.
Yeah, so she was fighting so hard for that too, in the last few months of the session that we had.
Oh, 5512.
Oh yeah, 5512. Oh, now all the alphabet soup and everything. There's just so many things that she worked on. It's really hard to pinpoint, but she was the one that legislators, would go to. I know that I would send emails and make phone calls, and sometimes I wouldn't get a call back, but I know that she would too. And that's very sad that, we have to make sure that we're going to be on their radar too. And, and take from her example, you know, to approach legislators with respect, but hold their feet to the fire in a respectful way, you know, that's going to make them actually change their mind rather than like beating them down. You know, if we can think about acting with more grace, you know, with more humility and compassion, you know, but she was genuine. And I think that that's how she was able to really be such a force of nature.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned that she was actually on the cannabis legislative caucus that Rep. Cynthia Johnson founded in Lansing. She called Zahra up and was like, "Hey, I need you to be on this thing." And Zahra asked me, and I was like, "That's kind of a thing you should probably be on. It's like a couple meetings a month." And she was really, really excited. It was kind of her dipping her toes a little more into like the Lansing world.
That was,
and I did notice it was nice about Cynthia Johnson to come up. She was at the memorial service along with I'm drawing a blank. I can't believe it. Thank you, Clement.
Yeah, Richard.
Oh yes, Mr. Clement. Yes,
Zahra would spend hours talking to Richard and Cynthia whenever they called. She developed a good friendship with. She was magnetic. I mean, she would talk to reps a couple times, and the next thing you knew, I'd be like, "Oh, I need to talk to Kevin Coleman. Oh, hold on, let me text him. He says he can call us in 20. What? Like, she was magnetic. They loved to talk to her. They trusted her. Like, they knew they could come to her. Recently, a couple campaigns called her to work on their cannabis policy because it was coming up on doors, and they weren't really sure how to maneuver it, and they reached out to her. And they were like, "Hey, can we like meet up this coming week and kind of help us figure out what our policies should be? What's the issues there?" And she was the first call they made.
Got good comments from Nikki, from Daniel, Michael File. You know, we've got a lot of people participating. Ryan Bednarski, a lot of people participating in the chat tonight, and feel free to jump in too and share your thoughts and your memories as well. Daniel mentioned that she was always a huge believer and supporter of CBD medicines from years ago, helped educate so many epileptic patients and parents with children suffering from epilepsy, and that's absolutely true. As I know a couple people have mentioned, as soon as someone mentioned epilepsy, that was your first phone call. You know, you wanted to give them right to Zahra so she could discuss that on a personal level, on a one-to-one. And I don't think she ever said no to having a conversation with someone about what this was going to do for them.
She loved those phone calls. She was so excited to share like her story and to potentially help somebody else. And she always knew who to send them to. And I mean, it to me, I'm curious how many people are throughout the state that got her number and called her about cannabis. Like, I'm really, truly curious because, like, I know she didn't tell me about all of them, you know? Like, there are people we don't even know that she probably was helping and talking to.
And sometimes those conversations are meaningful, but you might forget the speaker. So in some instances, they may have received benefit from talking to her and not even remember that it was her. But that's great. She would have smiled at that. She would have still thought that was fantastic because the message was delivered. You know, that's one thing you can say in the cannabis industry. Oftentimes we're very polarized, party loyalty or who did what at some time in the past. But there was nobody that didn't like Zahra. Everybody loved her. I mean, there's just nobody that said, "Oh, her." No, it just didn't happen.
Watching her take on DC in March was really cool. She was ecstatic to go to the Disability Caucus and the Environmental Caucus and the Young Dems Caucus. Those were three that she was really excited about. And then she really loved the Women's Caucus. And I was fortunate enough to be beside her on all of those. But the Disability Caucus, the former chair had been a former friend of hers through the epilepsy community. And she was so excited to get to see him. And I think actually one of the pictures we showed was a group shot of her with the Disability Caucus at the DNC. And
a recent one?
Yeah. And she, you know, that was like her issue when she was there. She was so excited to get to talk about the Disability Caucus on a national level.
Was that it?
No, it was a while ago, Jamie. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. That's good.
That's
Well,
a white
there's
AMC.
Mikkel right there. That's probably not it. I should have,
Yeah, Mikhail, Christian, Rochelle. That's a YDM group pick. And that's a Pat Harris in the front there. A
She passed
wonderful,
away.
wonderful organizer who, yeah, unfortunately passed away earlier this year, too.
oh.
She was a diehard for the Michigan Dems. Honestly, those two ladies were powerhouses in that picture.
Yeah. And Mikkel is now city council in Pontiac for a lot of the work you guys helped him with.
And there's Rep Garza in the
Alex
back.
Garza, yeah, in the far back. This was a Taylor
He was at
fundraiser.
the thing on the funeral on Friday too.
He, his wife, and his campaign manager, Zahra, used to talk to them on the phone all the time. You know, and that was the cool thing is like Alex is nowhere near Dearborn, but he worked on a bill called Jaden's Law, right, with Amy Carter. A lot of us know about it. And so she really, really believed in the legislation he was putting forward. And this year he's in a really competitive seat. And so she was like, all right, I guess I got to put, my effort behind Alex. And it was really nice to see him and Bilal and Cynthia, and Abbas, these candidates and things that she dedicated so much time to on GOTV weekend, showing up to show her love.
It's a lot of names. Not a big name.
I'm sorry. Rep Talib flew immediately from session to the service, but just made it as the procession was leaving. So I was there with Colin and a few other people that we were waiting for the procession so that we could then exit too. So she showed up with the commemorative statement, signed by the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
Quite excellent.
And she was anything but ordinary, right, guys? Extraordinary. I'm still having a hard time looking at my Facebook feed and realizing that everyone's posting about my best friend, and it's just beautiful because there were conversations where she'd ask you, am I doing this right? Can I really do this? And you're like, girl, you are on fire and everyone's behind you. And I think it's great to know that everyone really did see that.
Jamie, it's almost 2 hours in. Perhaps we should collect some final thoughts and see about maybe wrapping this up.
That works for me. Although as long as somebody wants to talk about it, I'll accommodate. We are coming up on 2 hours. We have a couple more pictures that just came in, so maybe spin it around if people would like to offer up their final word on
Let's start
tribute. Go ahead.
Let's start with Brandy. Brandy, you knew Zahra. Please let us know your final thoughts today.
We have lost a beautiful friend and a beautiful soul, beautiful advocate from this physical plane. But she lives forever in our hearts and in our memory. She lives forever in her legacy through our actions to bring compassionate cannabis policy. She lived and breathed every moment with integrity and humility, but she was fierce and soft. If we can learn from her example and keep our movement going strong, she would want us to keep doing the work. And we better start volunteering to fill in some of those things that she volunteered for so we can help honor those commitments that she made. And I'll be with you. And we love you. We will never forget you. Inshallah, our Habibi. Goodbye, Zara.
Jim, would you like to add some final thoughts here today?
Yeah, it was great to be here. I'm glad I was able to be here and experience this and hear some of the things and see some of the pictures. You meet someone like that that's just so gung-ho that just takes off it's just so sad when they're gone, and just all the energy she had. And I like what Brandy's saying, people can take that and get inspiration from her. I'd like to find a way to do something for the festival in September, to just bring light to her. I don't know how, but something for that. But thanks for having me here, and blessings to her family and all of us as we're dealing with it.
And Jim's referring to Entheo Fest.
Yeah.
September.
Q, what about you? Would you like to add some final thoughts here?
It's really weird because it just seems like I've read so many beautiful things about her, and they're all true, but they all ring hollow because you really had to experience her to get the light. And because she was such a, I don't know, enigma of a person, just because she was so not as she appeared. And that's what I think made her so powerful. Because if we can take anything away from Zara, is if you think that your voice doesn't have power, or that what you feel and believe doesn't matter, she showed you that anybody with will and desire, perseverance and determination can get a lot done. I think back about, I wonder how many of the milestones that we take for granted that she didn't get to experience. And that's, I think, what bugs me more than anything. And it just makes me want to appreciate more. Like, I don't, did Zara ever get her license? Because I remember she was taking driver's ed, and then she had a seizure. And I know when you have a seizure, that means 6 months, can't get behind the wheel. And she, but that she was later in life, and she was so excited about just learning how to drive. And she was catching up on so much stuff. And it seems like she was catching up on stuff, and she just kind of ran out of time. And I think that if all of us could just kind of maybe take a step back and think that she was doing so much, and she ran out of time. And none of us know how much time we have. So take a little bit of Zara and work like you are running out of time. Because it seemed like she was working like she was running out of time. It was like, this girl was in everything. And we're like, girl, why are you working so hard? But she was working like she was working out of time. Like she was running out of time. And so be grateful. When I think of Zara now, I do think of her with coffee now, not necessarily with cannabis, but with coffee, because she was adamant about this coffee. But and just her love of coffee shows you to just be appreciative of the little things, So I'm grateful that I got the chance to learn how to drive when I was a kid, and she was, on her way, and I'm grateful that I got to know her. I'm grateful that she shared her grace with all of us, because she was the epitome of grace. And innocence. And it's just so weird to talk about a 34, 35-year-old person being innocent, but she personified innocence and all that is good, and promise. We lost a little bit of promise, but we still have some, because we have her memory and we have what she cared about. And as Brandy said, many hands make light work. So we can do a little bit of work in her honor. So I hope that we pick it up and run with it. I really hope we name a strain after her. She deserves it. And that's my memory. I'm just gonna try to, I guess, be a little bit more like Zara, which is tough, because she was good to people who didn't deserve it to be good to. Let's just be real. She was good. And I'll try to remember to be a little more gooder, because Zara was a good person. So
well said. More gooder to you, Colin, I have to tell you.
I'm really thankful that I was able to be part of Zara's journey, and that like she was able to like show me her culture and be a part of it. And I really didn't know it all that as well as I thought I knew it, being from Dearborn, and but I got to really understand it, and be part of the, just be actively involved in Dearborn politics and just Michigan politics too. She was, fearless and go up to anyone, and just I remember when we were back in the years of legalization, she would go straight up to these like city council, and she was like fierce about it, talking to them about cannabis. Like, what do you mean? Like, you don't understand this. And just she taught me a lot about cannabis itself. Just how she uses it for epilepsy. And I think it helped me become a bud tender for a period of time. And, I think that me and Leah were talking, and I've talked with Matt Abel or talked with the Cannabis Council, and we're going to do something soon where we talk about Zara, and we'll make an event page, and I think we're going to do like a donation to the Epilepsy Foundation. So keep an eye out for that soon. So, those are my final thoughts.
Thanks,
I'd
Colin.
love to have a brick at the Epilepsy Foundation with her name on it. I'd love to know what it takes to get one of those and have it permanently put there. Leah?
Oh, and also, just as I said earlier, we have to wear purple more because she always wore purple. Cannabis socks. I know I got a pair with her at the High Times Fest. So wear more of those. Wear a cannabis pin regularly. Whatever pin for progressive causes. She would wear more than just the cannabis pin. And yeah, get a good coffee mug with a cannabis sign on it. She'd love that.
Oh, sweet.
Leah.
You're muted, Brandy.
It's purple.
Nice.
Go ahead, Leah.
The idea of final thoughts. I don't like the word final. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, just for this particular tribute, we will, we won't limit it.
Closing thoughts. Closing of this.
I feel like time has been standing still since Thursday because we did the work together and it worked so good. And I feel that all of us that are in the organizing world kind of feel an extra oomph to get shit done and to shake shit up and cause good trouble. And I'm very determined to make sure that none of her projects drop. There are more than enough hands to pick up where she left off and more than enough people who have stepped up. And, she always wanted to see everything through. So I guess that means I'm in it for the long haul and universal health care and federal legalization. And I have no intention of stopping because if she was here, I wouldn't stop. So I know that things in Michigan and the organizing world will never be the same. I know that we will never be able to refill those spots in quite the same way. But I also know that she wants us to, and she wants us to get it done. And I know that every morning when I have my coffee and my first smoke of the day, it'll be a moment to stop and say hi to her and remember that she's a big reason that we keep fighting. And I will forever be grateful that for some reason she decided to claim me as a best friend. And like Colin said, she took us in. She made us part of the family. She taught me things. Her family's taken me in this weekend, and she was so willing to share her life and share her love and share her patience, and even 3 a.m. phone calls and emotional breakdowns where you just sit on the phone and in quiet together. It's who she was to me. And I'm so proud of her. I love her so much. And I know that we will keep her alive. And yeah, I'm here if you guys need anything. And if you would like to know how to help the family, please feel free to message me. I'm probably going to see them pretty frequently for the next little while here. Yeah. Until we see you again, Zahra. Till we see you again.
Yeah.
Jamie, do you want to say anything, sir?
I don't. I mean, the ground has been adequately, covered, but it's a huge void for me. Frustrating that it's a sudden, unexpected loss, and I'm very aware, though, of her accomplishments and contributions that she's brought that are just key at times, and there's stuff to build her on. She cannot be replaced, but I'm definitely inspired to keep going and try to get some of those appointments I couldn't get, I guess. Like I said, Lee, you're going to probably have to help me out with that. And, but even at the services, people had stuff to do, and they, cited several times, I'm going to go do this, because I couldn't imagine not doing it with Zara. So anyway, really appreciate everybody who participated today. And I know this is tough, but important, and it won't be the last time, but a nice tribute. And a couple people came and gone, but just thanks everybody participating in the comments and stuff like that too. So, Rick, you want to wrap it up for us, please?
There's a phrase that says, "The light within me honors the light within you," and to a lot of people, it's just a phrase until you actually meet someone who has light within them and who emanates it into the world. And that's what she was. Someone with light inside who spread it to others. And she honored the light within other people. As it was mentioned here today, sometimes she was way too nice to people that didn't deserve niceness. But that was her. That was her personality. And whatever we have to do, whatever clean living we have to do, whatever work we have to clean up in order to achieve it, getting closer to being one of those people who emanate light, that's what we should all aspire to. And that's what I'll remember about her, is the light within, as it shone through her smile and through her eyes and through her actions. And that's all I have. Thank you, everyone, for participating today. It's been a wonderful tribute.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night now.
Thank you, guys.